You won't believe just how much weight you can lose with one weekly shot. Ozempic! Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today, I'm taking a look at the DC Multiverse Deluxe Theatrical Edition LEX LUTHOR. Starting with the packaging, we have that oversized Deluxe Theatrical window box. Baby Kaiju dude. Whoops! I still really love this colorful spine, but I also kind of wish each one would have been character specific. Not unlike another major superhero movie coming out this month. I'm not saying it's wrong, just a missed opportunity. What I cannot defend, however, is the back. At a glance it's fine. In fact, the artistic rendering of the characters is better than fine. But the devil's in the details. And looking at the background, you can see it's so stretched and blown out that it's actually pixelated. I'm just a middle-of-the-road YouTuber, but in a million years, I'd never let a thumbnail get through looking like that, though I have been known to publish the occasional typo. But $1 million toy company with a graphics design budget? Seriously, this is unacceptable, especially for how expensive it is. And it's kind of ironic when you consider a major plot point of the movie involves Lex Luthor not looking closely enough at the background of pictures. For packaging, I'm giving Lex Luthor 2 points. Moving on to presentation, and Lex Luthor stands at 7 inches or 18 centimeters and has a lot more reuse than you might expect. The hands, diaper, thighs, knees, and shoes come from the red platinum Scarecrow, which strictly speaking came from the regular Scarecrow, with the arms coming from Heath Ledger Joker. With that in mind, the transition from the Scarecrow leg to the newly sculpted calf is absolutely flawless, with that fine knitted texture creating a nice sense of continuity. The whole thing comes together to give us the best suited body McFarlane Toys has produced. It's only taken 5 years, but the possibilities are endless. This particular figure has been cast in a very Lex Luthor-y dark purple. Not gonna lie, the customizer in me really wishes this thing was made in black, but I have a hard time imagining this is the last we're gonna see of it. The most important new piece, of course, is the head. Nicholas Hoult does a fantastic job of Lex Luthor, and this head sculpt does basically capture his likeness well enough. The seam line from the mold is unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it is. While he is a bit on the youthful side, I do think he's also general enough that you could use him in your comic display. For comparison, and take a look at the Mattel Super Luthor Build-A-Figure. My advice is to tug on that peg, though, to give him a little bit more neck. For presentation, I'm giving Lex Luthor 5 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and let's see just how well this Lex can flex. From the top, and Holt's head is on a dumbbell joint. He can look up this high, which for a mere mortal is just fine. For perspective, and here he is looking straight, and here's looking all the way down. Very deep sideways tilt for when he's pondering why Superman is so great, why do people like him and not me? Moving down, and his arms can raise 90 degrees and get complete rotation. No rotator cuffs, but plenty of wiggle room. Working our way down the arm, and he has bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with a perfect bend, and wrist balls that can swivel and hinge either up or down or side to side. Moving to the middle, and Lex has a rubber overlay covering his joints. He can arch back this far, which is fine. For context, and here standing straight, and if you hunch him forward too far, he'll pop apart. Crypto, no! This does, however, give us a good opportunity to check out the mechanism. This whole thing is actually a dumbbell clicking into the waist. Fortunately, he can snap back together just fine, and can hunch this far forward without popping apart. I will warn he's a bit on the loose side. Below the dumbbell joint, and we have the standard McFarlane hips. Lex can kick this high, which is really impressive. He can kick this far back, and unsurprisingly, do a perfect split. Admittedly, there's not a lot of twist in the hip, but the double knee has a nice deep bend, and then all the way down, Lex has toe articulation, and ankle balls that do get a little bit of hinge, swivel, and like my favorite live-action Lex Luthor, shifting from Michael Rosenbaum to Nicholas Hoult, pivot. Thanks to better than usual range in the torso, for Poseability, I'm giving Lex Luthor 5 points. Moving on to Playability, and Lex Luthor is rich with accessories. First things first, and of course we have a trading card and a figure stand. If you want to read more about him, pause here. Next up, and let's talk about hands. He comes preloaded with an accessory holding right hand and a gestury left hand, but Lex also has a right-handed fist and a left trigger hand. A mug for him to smugly sip from would have been cool, or of course a revolver, but but if you dig deep enough into your accessory bin, I'm sure you can find something. The fun part are the alternate heads. So far we've been looking at this more static expression, but there's also a self-satisfied smile and a slightly angrier expression, which I could totally see using as my default. Seriously, where was this variety for the Superman faces? His other major accessory, of course, is the baby Kaiju. According to the trading card, the Kaiju is a genetically grown creature, and that's more explanation than the movie ever gives it. Personally, I think it looks like what would happen if Zack Snyder did the live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch, but I am very impressed by the sculpted and painted detail. There is a lot of personality in this little guy, including a nice wash to bring all the texture out, along with a few points of articulation, including swivel for the head and swivel for the arms. Of course, playability is more than just heads, hands, and huggable monsters. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. The most logical place to start, of course, is our other DC Multiverse Lex Luthor. Shame he never got to suit up like this in the movie, which just goes to show you should never, ever trust the toys. As for some other Superman villains, and here's General Zod, along with the Target Metallo. Together they give a real Secret Origin vibe. That said, as a substitute Metallo, I like the Warhammer Necron Warrior. I've also been thinking about using Grid, mainly because I have no real attachment to him, and he's got those perfectly placed green lights. As long as we're talking about cyborgs, though, and we've got to bring out former LexCorp astronaut Hank Henshaw, also known as Cyborg Superman, Page Punchers and Injustice 2 versions of Brainiac, along with classic and rebirth versions of Lex Luthor's creation Bizarro. Cloning experiments is a perfect segue to Connor Kent, who is one half Lex Luthor, and of course half Superman. Here we have regular and Atomic Skull 2-pack versions of Action Comics 1000, along with the Walmart exclusive Gold Label version. Next up, and here we have Hush, but using that same basic body, and here's a couple of versions of Rebirth. For something a tad bit bulkier, and here's Dark Knight Returns and Super Mullet, and then in the other direction is DC Classic and Page Punchers. I actually really like how DC Classic looks here. That said, for the crown jewel of McFarlane Toys Superman figures, and here's the digital Silver Age version, the Target exclusive New 52, and of course the most important comparison, his co-star, David Corns. On that note, and for a critter companion comparison, and here's Crypto and the baby Kaiju. For a relative scale comparison, and here's Lex with Pizza Spidey and the spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Hey, Lex, how are those Luthor Core stocks doing? Better than the MCU. Yeah, let's revisit that after this weekend. This Lex might be live action, but he still looks right at home with the rest of our Superman Rogues gallery. Between that mix and match ability with your comic display and also the accessories, for playability, Lex Luthor gets 5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price, and Lex is more. As a deluxe theatrical edition, he'll set you back $35. And honestly, I'm conflicted. Had this come out a few years ago as a single-carded figure for only $20, I'd have bought 5 of them. Between Lex Luthor, Clark Kent, Black Mask, Bruce Wayne, and more, the possibilities are near endless. Personally, I could have done without Tickle Me Wiggly. Hopefully they release a single-carded version in black, maybe as a gold label or something like that. Either way, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming head swap showcase. For now, and for price, I'm giving Lex Luthor 3 points, averaging out to a good total of 4 out of 5. Coming soon from Zack Snyder, Lilo v. Stitch this summer. Ohana means nothing. For more Superman videos, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice and have fun. Pinless double-jointed elbows? Nope. A mug for him to smugly slip and then in the other